She stepped out into the crowd and danced with all her heart. The people gasped, watching her graceful movements, but some whispered and laughed, saying the proud and dancing princess. Their words stung. Angered, she stormed back to the palace and demanded that her father, King Ikenna, punish them. But the wise king only smiled and said, "Respect is not commanded by force, my daughter. You must earn it." In the grand kingdom of Uzuru, there lived a princess named Adorgo, a woman of breathtaking beauty. Yet, despite her beauty, she had no suitors. The reason? Her heart was filled with pride. She believed no man in the land was worthy of her, and she looked down on those who dared to approach. However, there was one thing she could not resist: dance. Any time she heard the beat of a drum, she was drawn to it as if controlled by an unseen force. One evening, during the Grand New Yam Festival, the villagers gathered to celebrate. The drummers played, filling the air with music as they danced. Adorgo, watching from her window, could not hold herself back. She stepped out into the crowd and danced with all her heart. The people gasped, watching her graceful movements, but some whispered and laughed, saying the proud and dancing princess. Their words stung. Angered, she stormed back to the palace and demanded that her father, King Ikenna, punish them. But the wise king only smiled and said, "Respect is not commanded by force, my daughter. You must earn it." Adorgo clenched her fists, but could not argue with her father's wisdom. As days passed, one day, a stranger arrived in the kingdom. His name was Chigazi, a humble drummer with a strong build and a kind smile. He watched Adorgo dance and was captivated. He stepped forward and bowed. "Princess, I have never seen anyone dance as beautifully as you. May I play for you?" Adorgo was surprised, but nodded. Chigazi played his drum, and she danced like never before. When she stopped, her face glowed with joy. "Thank you," she whispered. Chigazi smiled. "May I see you again?" Adorgo thought about it for some time, then nodded in agreement. Weeks passed, and Chigazi continued to visit, playing his drum just for her. Slowly, her pride began to soften, and their bond grew as they spent most time together. 3 months later, he took her hand. "Princess Adorgo, I love you. Would you marry me?" Her heart fluttered. "Yes," she said. But after 2 days, something happened. Chigazi disappeared without a trace. For 2 months, there was no sign of him. Adorgo waited, confused and heartbroken, thinking he had lied to her. So she continued in her ways. When he finally returned, her pride had risen again. "You and I are not from the same class," she told him coldly. "I deserve someone better." "Adorgo, please," Chigazi pleaded. "Let me explain." But she turned away, refusing to listen. For weeks, Chigazi kept coming, begging for another chance. The maidens whispered about his patience and love, but Adorgo ignored him. One day, King Ikenna called his daughter. "My child," he began to talk, "you have rejected every suitor, but this man truly loves you. I have watched how he keeps coming back despite your harsh words. Give him a chance." His words touched her heart. That night, she sat in her chambers thinking about Chigazi's love and dedication. The next morning, when Chigazi came again, she finally spoke. "I will give you a chance," she said softly. Chigazi's face lit up with joy. Over the next month, they spent more time together, and Adorgo realized that true love was not about status, but about the heart. One day, Chigazi arrived at the palace, but this time, he was not alone. A great entourage followed him, dressed in royal attire. Adorgo watched in shock as they bowed before her father. Chigazi stepped forward, no longer in simple clothes, but in fine robes, a golden crown on his head. "I am Prince Chigazi of Nobi," he revealed. "I disguised myself to find a bride who would love me for who I am." "Not for my kingdom," Adorgo gasped. If she had let her pride win, she would have lost him forever. But she had listened to her father's advice, and now she was grateful. With tears of joy in her eyes, he took her hands. "I am thankful that your pride did not push me away," he said, smiling, explaining to her how he received urgent news, saying his father, the king of Nobi, had fallen gravely ill, and an enemy kingdom was threatening war. As the only heir, he had no choice but to return home immediately on arrival. The enemy kingdom had long wanted to invade Nobi, and with the king sick, they saw it as the perfect opportunity. So Chigazi had to step up, negotiating peace and strengthening his kingdom's defenses. The conflict dragged on for 2 months, although he longed to return to her. But he knew he couldn't leave his people vulnerable, he said. Adorgo smiled and said she understand. A grand wedding followed, and the whole kingdom rejoiced. Adorgo and Chigazi ruled with love and wisdom, their hearts forever dancing to the rhythm of happiness. And so, The proud princess found her true love, not because of her beauty, but because she finally learned the power of humility. They lived happily ever after. Pride can blind us to true love and happiness. Sometimes, the people we look down on are the very ones destined to uplift us. Humility opens doors that arrogance closes, and those who learn to value love over status will find lasting joy. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting African tales.